演劇界のレジェンドハロルド・プリンスさんについてお話を伺いたいと思います。お二人にとってとても重要な、とても大きな存在であった方だったと思うんですけれども、どのような存在でしたか？プリンスさんは何か思い出とかありますでしょうか？ So having said that, how was it working with Harold Prince? How was it in rehearsals, or how was it creating your role with Harold Prince? Dan?
I'm forever grateful for that experience and how he, I mean, even from a very early, from my early beginnings there, you know, when I had not yet graduated to be his sort of full, you know, associate director and key creative right hand guy, you know, I would learn so much, and he would put so much trust in me. And once you earned his trust, you were set free. So, you know, apropos Evita, I watched a tape. We went to the library for the performing arts in New York to watch the original together. And he would say, "Oh, I didn't remember that. Oh, that was good." I said, "Oh, Howell, what if we do this or that? You know, there's a new song, there's a new, oh, you'll figure it out." He would put his full trust in you if you earned it. And that was a gift. That was an enormous gift. So much generosity, which you don't see from a figure like that, who you would suspect would be proprietary over their work. And he wasn't. He was generous. He loved young people. He loved the next generation. He found so many talented people and brought them up to stardom, and designers. He loved taking chances. Risk was his middle name. He could have rested on the laurels of many of his hits years and years and years ago and just sat back on that. But he was always pushing the envelope and always trying to break new ground and do new things. And he did that right up until he died.
Thank you, Dan. What about you, Ramin? How was it working with Harold Prince as an actor?
Well, it was great. And like Dan said, he was very much, I think he respected the fact that you don't necessarily just be a yes artist and just take the notes. Because on 2 occasions with Being Alive and Musical of the Night, I remember he gave a note and I didn't know how to process that note. So I kind of had to, I remember I took a moment thinking, okay, how do I question how Prince on this moment, when obviously he's the man, he created the, you know, the original direction of this, but how I was coming at it was not necessarily where perhaps he was seeing it. And I was like, how do I navigate this respectfully, but also honoring what I want to bring to it? So I remember we bumped heads a bit on Music of the Night and Being Alive for a while. And after 4 weeks of the rehearsals, because, you know, Prince of Broadway was up and running in the rehearsal room after maybe 7 days, 8 days. So we had 3 more weeks to just keep running it. That's why it was such a great run, because by the time we got to Japan, we've effectively been running the show. It wasn't like trial and error. We knew what we were bringing, so we had time to let it breathe. And I remember one of the few days before we left for Japan, Hal came and sat beside me. I was on my own, and he just looked at me, goes, "I get it. I get what you're doing. I see how you layer it." He goes, "You're one of those actors that take your time, you process, you layer it." And he goes, then he said some very complimentary things, which I'll just keep to myself, but it validated the struggle. It validated me, maybe not challenging him, but saying, well, this is how it speaks to me. But then what's genius about Hal is he allows you to do that too. He let it sit, whether he was just letting me process it or maybe he was processing it too, but it was very collaborative. And for a man of his stature, that experience, and I still felt like a kid with him. I felt like it was my first job after all those years. And then I'm in the room with this legend. How can you not feel like someone who's day one at school? And he let the student run with it effectively. And that, I thought, what a brilliant artist and man and person to let you do that and not let it turn out to be an ego thing.
I see. やっぱりそのハルド・プリンスさんの懐の深さっていうのがよくわかるエピソードですよね。So we're going to move on to the next question. 続きまして、シアターオーブとのお二人との関係性について質問したいと思います。ラミンさんは昨年10月にシアターオーブが制作を手掛けたジーザス・クライスト・スーパースター・イン・コンサートにも出演しました。その時のお話を伺いたいと思います。So, Ramin, you were in Jesus Christ Superstar in concert in Theatre Orb last year. So it consisted of actors with various backgrounds, age, nationality, and career. How was it working with them, and how was it working with the Japanese crew at that time?
Oh, that was one of my favorite experiences because what you would think would be hurdles when you have half the cast that don't really speak English, some not at all. And the way the director Mark brought us all together in the beginning, again, was in a way where I normally wouldn't have thought I would take to that sort of process. You know, on the first day of rehearsals, you get there in a circle, there's a bonsai tree in the room, in the center, and you're breathing together. He was coming at a very spiritual way. And I must admit, I even said to Mark in the beginning, I was like, no way, you know, we don't have time for this. But in my head, I always think you give power to the chair, you know, and that's the director. This is how he's going to run it. Yeah, that's not my job. I'm there to play a role and follow his lead. So I was allowing it to still happen, even though I had my reservations and hesitations. My God, I'm so glad I kind of went with that ride because I don't want to work any other way now because it was so collaborative. Language was not an issue anymore because we would see each other. We would, you know, the goal is always, it's about being selfless. You make the other person the most important person in that scene, on stage, in that moment. So then you're listening, you're being part of that moment together. So what happened because of, I guess, that spiritual warm-up, let alone physical warm-up, it brought us together like I've never experienced before. And it was hard to say goodbye, and it was so frustrating that it was a short run. We had the typhoon cancel 2 of the shows. It was just, I hope we get to experience that again because it's a way that I know I left wanting to continue implementing that, the way that process was, the way I approach actors in a scene now. I want to keep doing that in my work, whether I'm in this TV show or future stage performances. I learned a lot. It was great.
続きまして、今回オーブトークのツイッターアカウントを通じてファンの皆様から質問をいただきました。いくつかお答えいただきたいと思います。So we'd like to have you to answer some of the questions from the fans, the questions we got through social media. The first question is from Aki. Aki さん、ご質問ありがとうございます。I heard from the Japanese actors Ramin that you don't warm up vocally in the theater. Do you never warm up, or do you finish your warm up at home before you get in the theater? Ramin?
Well, look, it might be misleading by saying I don't warm up, but I don't do the vocal stuff. Maybe I should. But for me, going to the gym, I feel you got to warm your body up, and that's important to me. And then it's, you know, when you're doing a show 6, 7, 8 times a week, you kind of, I feel, are always almost warmed up, unless you're unhealthy. I mean, like if you have a cold or if you're sick, that's different. You know, those are different obstacles. And I mean, if you're pretty much good to go, it's more about warming up and then getting myself psychologically ready to know what I'm about to put my body through. And the bigger the role or the more taxing the role, the more I need to just get myself psyched up. So Valjean, Judas, Phantom, those roles took some, it wasn't so much about warming the voice up. I guess because what's important to me is the story we're about to tell. If I haven't sung in a long time.
In other words, Ramin, you wake up this way.
No, it's not what I'm saying. But by the time it's showtime, you've spoken, you've used your voice. I don't know, but that's how I see it.
それでは、次の質問に行きたいと思います。ファズアンダーバーカマールさん。This is a question from Faz underbar Kamar. This is for Ramin. What is the top thing on your mind nowadays, Ramin?
Nowadays, I think it's what's on everyone's mind. You know, it's hard. I have to work at maybe helping turn my mind off sometimes. That's why I take social media off my phone. I only go on it when I need to post something. So what's on my mind right now is still just being there for the kids. Obviously, I am daydreaming about working again. You know, I miss my TV show. I miss performing. It still bothers me. I couldn't get to Japan earlier this year when I was supposed to. I was supposed to go to some other countries. You know, and I realized that I love having this family time. But there is something missing in my life, and that's because I loved my job. I love doing what I do, and I'm not able to do that right now. And doing it from home with Zoom and remotely, it doesn't take care of it doesn't fulfill me like doing what we ultimately set out to do. So that's on my mind. And, I have anxieties like any father having a family would during this time. I'm trying to do the right thing and just navigate through everything. So it's hard to say what's one on my mind. I have a million things on my mind right now.
Okay. やっぱりこのコロナ禍でいろいろなことを考えてしまいますよね。そしてやっぱり劇場に戻りたいっていうのが、誰しも思っていることなんだと思います。Thank you. Okay, this is our last question. This is for both of you. A strong woman like Eva Perón who runs a country, or someone like Christine Daae who you'd want to protect.Which type of woman would you prefer? Let's start with Dan.
Wow, what a question. Well, first of all, I think Christine is often played incorrectly during over the many productions I've seen, and I worked on Phantom briefly. I was directing it for a while, the current tour that's in Korea that I'm no longer associated with, which I won't discuss. But I feel I'm naturally attracted to very strong women, and that is not to say Christine is not a strong person. There are hurdles with the loss of her father and gathering the confidence and the time that Phantom is set in, where it's a male-dominated society. And I think she emerges through and finds her strength, which is admirable. But it's a different beast altogether than the force of nature that Eva Perón is, which is just unbridled ambition. And quite frankly, unbridled ambition and that gusto and the score that was written to accommodate that type of personality is inherently more exciting to me, and makes Evita more challenging and the character more challenging. So Eva Perón.
Eva Perón. Dan, you have Eva Perón. Ramin?
I think they're both strong women, and like Dan said, they're both hard to compare because of the time that they're from, the musicality. You're seduced by that. I think the right answer I'm going to say is I'll choose a strong woman like my wife Mandy. So neither. They're both great, but neither of them are Mandy, and I'm just gonna my bar is set higher than Eva Perón and Christine Daae, so I'm going to run with the answer that'll keep me out of trouble, and I'm going to say my wife, Mandy.
Well played, my friend. Well played.
素晴らしいですね。まさかののろけで終わるというようなことなんですけれども、やはりね、奥様が一番ということでごちそうさまでした。さて、話は尽きないのですが、そろそろお時間になりました。最後に日本のファンの皆さん、日本のみならず世界中のファンの皆さんにメッセージをお願いできますでしょうか。まずはダニエルさんにお願いしたいと思います。To close this Orb talk, could we have a message to the Japanese fans and fans worldwide? Dan?
my message to you is number one, congratulations on hanging in there and seeing it through. This will end. And you guys, as a people, are a model for the rest of the world on how to deal with such a crisis. Your patience and your resilience, it's going to pay off, and it's going to pay off sooner than the rest of the world. So just continue to do what you're doing, and we will look to you. And hopefully draw inspiration from you in order to rid ourselves of this horrible pandemic. But the key is recognizing that something terrible is going on right now. It needs to be dealt with. Science needs to prevail over politics, and we need to be on the same page. And I think you're already doing that. So my message is just simply, as Harold Prince would say, keep on keeping on. And I can't wait to come back to Japan and to visit you all again, and to share my art with you.
Well, just to add on to what Dan was saying, I go to Japan so much, and I get always asked, do I have a message for the fans and supporters? Of course, I just want to, I think under these circumstances, I just want to say I miss you guys. I wish I could see you more like I was planning on to this year. I really appreciate the continued support. And like Dan said, I'm looking to you guys, even beyond an artist, as to how we handle this, because as Dan says, there's great. You guys are amazing, and it's amazing how you're handling this with such humanity and grace. And I hope we get to reconnect very soon. I was just saying yesterday to a friend, I need to get on Japanese soil. I miss it. I need to get over there. Hopefully soon.
Thank you very much. 本当に2人に早く日本の地に、そしてこの東急シアターオーブの地に前戻ってきてほしいと思います。We hope to see you both in Tokyo Theatre Orb real soon. Thank you very much for your time today. Stay safe and keep well. ラミン・カリムルさん、ダニエル・カトナーさんでした。ありがとうございました。
ありがとう。
Thank you.
お疲れ様でした。